Backstreet Boys.
And I'm Joey McIntyre from New Kids on the Block.
Together we are NKOTBSB.
That's right. And we want to thank you for watching this interview, listening to this interview, experiencing this beautiful thing on EQ.
So, Howie and Joe from NKOTBSB. How are you guys today?
We're great.
Thank you.
When did you guys get here, actually?
What, it's been now
a couple of days.
3
Yeah, Monday.
days?
We got here Monday. It's Thursday, so we know each other in ways we never thought we would.
And then some.
Yeah.
Now, if I remember, if I'm quoting myself correctly, you guys did a big American tour together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And how were those shows? How did those go down with the fans?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, we did a little over 50 dates in North America, and you know, the whole thing, there's just so many gifts to these two groups coming together, and you know, both groups have seen it all, and so it's nice to do something that we've never experienced. And you know, there were some fans that, you know, were a little afraid that they were going to lose their groups and whatnot, but it's a perfect combination. You know, each fan base is going to see their group sing their favorite songs, but we also come together throughout the show. We start it, we end it, and it makes for a roller coaster of a night. It's just non-stop entertainment, and both groups feed off each other, and it's a good time.
Fantastic. When did the light come on and said, "Oh wow, we're two, you know, mildly successful boy bands. Maybe we should get together and collaborate"? When did the light come on about that idea?
Well, I mean, there was talks going on, you know, before we had a chance to actually all get on stage and try it out. But you know, we've always, you know, both groups have known each other, you know, from back in the days. You know, mutual respect to both groups, and you know, New Kids definitely came out before us. And when they decided to take their break, you know, we were just getting started, and we kind of carried on and you know, carried the torch on. And coincidentally, when they were on tour in 2009, Backstreet Boys were on tour as well in the States, and they were in New York, and they had been doing this thing which we really liked and gave them props about bringing up artists every so often in the middle of their shows, and doing these cool experiences for their fans to get a chance to see other artists performing with them. And so while we were in New York, they said, "Hey, would you guys be interested in coming up singing I Want It That Way with us?" And we were like, "Sure." You know, for us, you know, we've done so many shows just like them, and you know, it's very hard nowadays to find stuff that's new and fresh and can shock not only yourselves but the fans. And so we said, why not? So we got there. They ended up singing. They ended up singing the first verse, and then when it came to the chorus, the curtain came up, and then we were revealed, and we finished the song off with them. And that moment, I knew when I saw the reaction of the fans and how they accepted us on the stage with their group. And realizing how, you know, we have some of the same fans out there as well, which is quite funny, looking out in the front row and seeing some girls who were like, "Oh shoot, I got caught," you know, kind of thing. But the fact that they were like, they embraced us on stage together, and you know, even Backstreet Boys, they allowed us to sing a song by ourselves, "Shape of My Heart," and their fans were into it as well. And at that moment, I realized that this idea could be something that could be taken on to the next level, and possibly, you know, turn it into a big show with both groups on stage together and doing something that's, you know, historical. Like, you know, you would have thought like Elton John, Billy Joel did.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm super excited to see the show. I've keep seeing all these little tidbits online. I can't wait to be there myself. I was at the last time you guys were here at the O2. I was there.
Nice.
And it's just a fantastic experience all around to see you guys doing it again. How is working together different than, you know, working in your, you know, respective groups? I mean, obviously
really
there's
nice.
4 or 5 other guys you have to get along with.
Yeah, we get along great.
Easier.
We get along great. But it's really nice because I think, you know, it makes you focus on your own group more. It makes you, you know, reflect more. You see, you know, when you're it's hard to get perspective sometimes of your own group, but when you have another group that is, you know, has the same sort of dynamic, it's very different, but it gives you perspective, you know, and that's nice. Also, they're inspiring you to you know, take chances and be your best. You know, I think both groups are on their best behavior in front of each other. You know what I mean? It sounds funny, but it really is true. But we joke a lot together. It's a perfect combination. It's like we have fun together. There's new relationships to be had, so there's a freshness to it. But we also want to work hard to make a great show. And even though, you know, talk about competition and whatnot, I mean, we want everybody to succeed. You know what I mean? If one group isn't, you know, hitting it out of the park, that's going to hurt the whole show. And so we just have a great balance, and I think that's why, you know, the show has been, you know, really well received, not just from the fans, but from the industry across the board.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, this question is for you, Joe. How has one of my favorite songs is "Please Don't Go Girl"?
Yeah.
And obviously, you know, your voice has changed a lot over the years, and how is singing that song now in 2012 different from how you were singing it back in the day?
Well, you know, thankfully, it's really. I think I deliver on it. You know, I think, you know, and thankfully my fans, you know, I think have always felt that way since coming back and singing it. But, you know, for me to accept that, you know, and just, it's a great song. I think it's an old school song, and but I've certainly made the most of it. You know what I mean? It is my big song from the group, and you know, it comes to mind because, you know, you don't pay attention to the critics until they say something nice, you know what I mean? When they don't, you just kind of let it go. But, you know, I remember someone saying in my hometown of Boston is that, you know, it felt, I sang it like it felt more real now than it did when I was a kid, and you know, it does make sense because you have more perspective. You know, when you're singing a song, you know, you get more history, you can put more into it. So that's my long-winded answer. Saying it's all good.
It's all good. I like that. And Howie, the new solo material is fantastic.
Well, thank you.
How's releasing your new solo material while still, you know, being on tour with NKOTBSB and still putting out your videos and songs? How's that going, and what's been the fan reaction so far?
It's been really great. I'm very proud and thankful that I've been able to finally accomplish another dream of mine. You know, within my group, each of us came from solo backgrounds, and it's always been discussed since day one that, you know, obviously putting Backstreet first, but, you know, if God willing Backstreet Boys did take off with us, we wanted to use it as a launching pad as well to be able to allow each of us to spread our wings and do some individual stuff. And I'm finally the fourth one of the group to be able to accomplish putting a record out there. It was definitely a work in progress. I took my time with making it. 5 years on and off in between working on Backstreet records. I initially started off in a Latin direction, and then eventually came full circle back to doing something that was a little bit more natural to me and not too far stray away from Backstreet sound. And I've been blessed to have, you know, the acceptance of, you know, my Backstreet fans, as well as reaching out to new fans. You know, being on the tour with the New Kids on the Block, you know, they've definitely opened up an audience for me to be able to reach out to and embrace as well. And, you know, I've been doing a lot of good promo for it recently here with the album being released in November, and trying to figure in between all the NKOTBSB, Backstreet Boys, recording, all that stuff going on, maybe a couple of dates here and there to do some touring. And I definitely on the map have an Israel trip that I'm going to be doing with my fans in September. And but it's fun. I mean, I've always loved juggling, doing a lot of things, wearing a lot of different hats, whether it's, you know, working on solo stuff, working on Backstreet, working with NKOTBSB stuff, managing other artists, working with my foundation, Lucas Foundation, or doing real estate. You know, I've always been a person that loves to really get out there. Yeah, I don't sleep a lot. I don't do too many vacations, but thank God I have a very supportive wife and son that allow me to get out of jail every so often.
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
that's fantastic. Now, there's a little bit of a resurgence of boy bands right now, and as you know, a couple guys who've been around the block, what do you have? What sort of advice do you have to some of the boy bands that are trying to be the template that you guys set forth back in the day?
Tell them, Howie. Well,
Hey, Sam.
we've been we're becoming educated on the new crop. You know, One Direction, The Wanted, JLS. We just don't know them very well. Howie saw a video of One Direction, so he's getting a head start on me. But
JLS.
yeah, you know, the thing is like you just never know. I mean,
Yeah.
you gotta have great music, but you gotta have dynamic, you gotta have personality, you gotta have talent, you gotta have all those things. But it's a witch's brew. You know what I mean? You don't know what ingredient goes in there and mixes up, and then you gotta have timing. But you know, the UK has always been a great place for boy bands. I mean, they coined the phrase boy band.
Yeah.
Like before, when New Kids were around, they didn't know. The phrase wasn't around, and then we kind of got christened, you know, kind of grandfathered into the whole equation of boy band. But it's great. I mean, pop music has always been very embraced over here. The States, you know, we take ourselves a little too seriously. I think that's slowing down because of the internet and because pop music is so widespread and so eclectic now that people embrace it for what it is instead of what it isn't. And so the UK has always been that way. You know, they love pop music and they love rock and roll. They love, you know, singer-songwriter stuff. They love all kinds of music. And so we'll see if, you know, this new crop can, you know, make it in the States. I know they're, you know, getting on some different tours and whatnot. But it's fun to see, you know, each generation come along and see what's next. And there's been a little bit of a gap. I guess, you know, the Jonas Brothers is probably the last, you know, group to do it over in the States and have that kind of following. And Justin Bieber kind of did it, but you
they
know,
don't
his
sing
own
and dance like New Kids on the Block.
Yeah,
Backstreet Boys.
yeah, it's not like a boy band. So we'll see.
I couldn't have said it better.
Yeah, sorry. I know that was kind of
That was perfect.
yeah.
That was perfect.
Boys, thank you so much for your time today. I should say men, but
Yeah.
boys, thank you so much for your time today. Any parting words for our EQ readers who might be going to check you guys out?
Definitely come out to the show. I mean, I think we've put together an amazing 2-hour trip down memory lane, as well as a high energy paced current show that are going to give all of our fans a good night out.
Fantastic. Cool.
But I'm not just want to anymore. Maybe it's all in my head. Feel like leaving, but I don't really want